The last time this trio was together was prior to the semifinal game last year in Miami before the Nittany Lions fell to the Fighting Irish. We're ripping the bandage off, turning the page, and we're not discussing that because it is a new season with new coaches, new players, but us three are here still, and we didn't decide to go to the NFL. We weren't influenced by NFL money, but we're here, and we didn't decide to depart for Clemson. But on this show, we'll talk about those who fit those descriptions of the specific aforementioned reasons. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 1 of the Straight from the Crest podcast.
Welcome to the Straight from the Crest podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. It's been a long off season. I'm your host, Michael David Kresovich, joined today with Garrett Bastardi and Big Game Beck. Today, we're going to talk about Penn State's offseason, discuss a little bit of Penn State's win over Nevada, preview the game against FIU, and give you a forecast of the Penn State football season. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. This is Season 5 since we kicked off the show. Couple quick notes before we get going. Big Game Beck is full-time now, so you'll see him here every week. Garrett is back for Season 5. He helped me start this in his basement when we literally just did it with no video and podcasting equipment, and we put it out on Spotify and Apple Music. So we've came a long way. But I want to welcome my co-host to the show. Garrett, how'd you spend your off season, brother?
Just a lot of contract talks with your people, and we were able to make it work. Stipulation was that Big Game Beck did not make as much money as I did. And so I was a little worried about that, but we got that worked out. And so anything I can do to knock his podcasting goals off the rails is good for me. But no, just ready for a great football season. Glad Beck is on full time. And it'll be a fun trio going forward on a big year.
Yeah, you got some friends with you there, I noticed. Who'd you bring with you today?
Yeah, well, actually, it was kind of a package deal. I made sure that I got my boy Mark Holtz, Lou Holtz, and Mark May on the show for us. So they're going to be whispering in my ear some takes. Some of it will be slurred from this shoulder, and if he starts talking about Notre Dame, I'm just going to go like this the whole time, so you can't see him.
Amazing plan, Beck. I want to formally welcome you as a full-time member of the Straight from the Crest crew. You got your Penn State shirt on today. You know this is a football podcast, right?
I do know it's a football podcast, but what I didn't know is that people were getting paid. So the fact that Garrett's making money is a little upsetting.
You got to talk to producer Chris about that. Yeah, he pays the bills.
We'll have to talk to the numbers guys, but I'm excited to be here. It's fun to be on full time, ready to do another season with you two.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about this because it's been a very long off season. We didn't even do a recap. I think everyone was just heartbroken after Penn State fell to Notre Dame. We're not going to talk about that game. Like I said in the intro, we ripped the bandage off. We're not discussing it ever again. It's a new year. It's a new leaf we turned over. We're ready to focus on this year. But a lot happened in the off season, most notably Penn State, brand new defensive coordinator. They bring in Jim Knowles, PA guys, 38th year of coaching, 17th season defensive coordinator, just won a national title, one of the most well-respected minds on the defensive side in all of football. Spent time at Oklahoma State prior, was at Duke, replaces Tom Allen. He's at Clemson, who immediately after the season, he hopped on 81 South and headed there to South Carolina. But I want to start with Garrett here, and we're going to break some stereotypes because I think every year I give Garrett the offensive questions and Justin the defensive questions. I think it's funny because the offensive guys are these pretty guys that wear quarter zips and go to country clubs, and the defensive guys are chain smoking Marlboros and just game planning. But we're going to break this today. Garrett, talk about what this acquisition of Jim Knowles does for Penn State moving forward.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of, I wouldn't say controversy about it, but a lot of hate from the state on westward of us in Ohio, talking about, well, but be prepared for it to take 3 years to implement the system that he wants to implement. And I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Ohio State was a middle of the tier defense when Jim Knowles came back in or came into the Big Ten for them. And they needed to build themselves up over time, and then became an elite defense in the league and in the country. Last I checked, Penn State's defense was pretty good the last several years, and really a top 5, top 10 defense. Really under Manny, probably a top 3 defense in the country. It's kind of turnkey right now. It's a little bit different philosophically. I would actually say it's probably closer from an exotic standpoint and exotic blitzes and different looks to what Manny Diaz was doing, a little bit more of a mad scientist vibe. And just kind of giving complex looks to the quarterback and the opposing offense, versus what Tom Allen was doing was a little bit more just kind of building yourself into the game and feeling it. We'd get off to a lot of slow starts defensively. Jim Knowles is big on pushing and trying to get turnovers and winning the turnover battle, and the explosive play battle from a defensive standpoint. So philosophically, things I think will be a little bit different from last year. I also think he's just got a lot more talent to work with and a turnkey operation to work with right off the bat versus what Ohio State did, 3-4 years ago. So I don't think those comparisons to, well, you guys are going to get burned early, or guys aren't going to understand the concepts. I just don't really buy that argument very much. I think that it's a little bit of a sour team losing their defensive coordinator, and I think they'll be fine with Matt Patricia at Ohio State. But I'm pretty happy with the acquisition. I think Tom Allen's a great guy. I think he's a good football coach. It was a step down from Manny. I think this brings us back a little bit closer to the mindset of what Manny Diaz had for a few years in State College.
Yeah, to me, the Tom Allen, I love the Manny Diaz hire, and at the time I liked the Tom Allen hire, but to your point, it felt to me like it was more of a name hire than a scheme or a need hire. I think they realized that obviously Tom Allen is one of the most well-respected head coaches in the Big Ten of our lifetime, at least longest tenured, and he ran a good ship in while he was in Bloomington, but obviously an A-splash grab there. Next, we're going to go over to Beck here for this question. New running backs coach, no longer is Jawan Sider, the running backs coach. He leaves for Notre Dame. They bring in Stan Drayton, who spent time he's been a running backs coach his entire career, essentially, on some pretty notable teams. He on the 2006 Florida team, 2014 Ohio State team. He coached guys like Brian Westbrook, but he also played college football at Allegheny College in Meadville, very close to you, Justin. Can you talk about what getting just another great hire is going to do for this running backs these great running backs, even though they lost a great one in Coach Sider?
Yeah, I think it's super important to replace talent with talent, especially at the running back position, because this year, right, like the running back position should take care of itself with Nick and Katron, but you want to have a solid foundation for recruiting moving forward. So hiring somebody that's an established running backs coach that's been super successful in developing running backs, that's going to go a long way, not just this year, but into the future. So excited to have him on the team. I really like the stuff that Franklin's put out about him and some of the stuff that I've seen about him on social media. So overall, I think it's a good hire.
Yeah, and outside of the acquisition of Coach Jim Knowles and Coach Drayton, Penn State also went out and grabbed Trace McSorley, hired him as their quarterback coach. And also something that's getting overlooked is they brought in a special teams analyst, Alan Tucker, who spent a lot of time with Akron, Mississippi State as well. He came over from Troy. Another guy that came over from Troy is Devontae Ross, who he was one of 3 major wide receivers Penn State was able to get in the portal. Ross is an over-the-top, deep, speedy guy, 11 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards last year, 5'10". Kyron Hudson, who we know played at USC last year, he has the notable catch, the one-handed catch in the opener against LSU. He brings over just a sturdy target. He's 6'1", going to be a guy on third down who makes up when we need it. And then the third's Trevor Pena, 84 catches, 941 yards with 9 touchdowns last year. He's going to line up all over the field and be another security blanket. Garrett, when you first saw Penn State go out and get those guys, how did you feel knowing Harrison Wallace wouldn't have to be Calvin Johnson every game for Penn State, or attempt to be Calvin Johnson? My bad. Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think first off, like you first mentioned, I think it's great that Trace is on the staff, working with Danny O'Brien. Like, I think having that experience in turning this program around, being a game changer, a playmaker. I think back to that 2018 Ohio State game and really that entire season. I mean, he was a 400, 450 all-purpose yard guy, a game. type of guy until he got hurt. And so having that experience working with Drew is going to be great. From the wide receiver position, like, look, I forget who said it in the offseason on a different podcast, but Tyler Warren was fantastic. He's awesome. I will trade 3 workable wide receivers for 1 unbelievable tight end. It just opens up the offense way more. The fact that, we said we're not going to talk about the Notre Dame game, but I will have to drop the one stat of, the fact that you're a step away from being in the national title game and not completing a pass to a wide receiver is a testament to how good the team was as a whole. I thought week 1, we weren't seeing a lot other than clearly we were going to break in some of the new toys and Drew was going to throw to his guys. Seemed like Ross might have been a little hindered, but Pena and Hudson looked really good, sure hands. You can't, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You either catch balls or you drop them. And so we didn't see much of balls on the ground, even in some tough throws and some tough places to catch the ball. So really excited to see how it's going to go. I don't think we're going to get a lot of distinguishing factors or separation until we get to the Oregon game. I mean, FIU, Villanova, like obviously these guys, any wide receiver should be better than these guys. No disrespect to them in the Power Four, but I think we're going to get a lot of answers by the end of September, and already I think we're going to start seeing signs that the offense opens up a little bit more, and the defenses are going to be forced to not just focus on Katron, Nick, and whoever's playing tight end. They're going to have 3-4 more guys to have to worry about, which hopefully opens up the offense a little bit more.
Yeah, and what the acquisition of these 3 is going to do is create more opportunities. Like Liam Clifford had 1 touchdown last year. I expect him to triple that this year, just with the attention. And he is a great route runner, and I think he gets underappreciated in this offense. But I expect him to have 3 touchdowns. To your point, Garrett, they also have Denmark, Ivy, and then once Saunders gets healthy, they'll have him as well. But one of the other notable additions Penn State gathered in the portal is linebacker Mari Campbell, who they snagged from Chapel Hill. He comes over here from UNC, Justin. He led the team last year in 6.5 sacks, which is absurd from a linebacker position. They also get King Mack back from Alabama, who both of those, King Mack and Amari Campbell, played terrific in that opener. Justin, talk about what these 2 are going to do for an already very talented defensive unit.
Yeah, I think Campbell coming over is probably the biggest in my eyes, just because we're super thin at linebacker, right? I think Knowles has said that he's only really comfortable with 3 linebackers right now, and that's Tony, Dom, and then Amari Campbell. So him coming over here is huge for us. It's huge for the middle of our defense. And, he looks really good against
Go ahead. You got it.
It's
You got it.
I don't know why Villanova was stuck in my head. That's a different team. Okay. He looked really good against Nevada. He was flying all over the field. He was making plays. Looked like he was excited to be there, and it was really cool to see. King Mack coming. I think we were actually in a really good spot in the secondary even before he got here. I thought that the secondary was probably the strength of our defense coming into the year. Obviously, he had the nice kick return, and got up to 20-something miles per hour. He was one of the fastest players on the field, is tracked by whatever software ESPN uses. So him coming over is big as well, but I'm more excited about Campbell coming over, especially because he's going to be he's a day 1 starter when he gets here. He's going to be a huge part of that defense, and he's going to be someone we really rely on, whereas King Mack is a good player. Definitely happy to have him as well, but he's more of a depth piece at this point in time.
Yeah, so Amari Campbell comes in, makes an immediate impact, led the team last week and in their blowout win over who'd they play?
Nevada.
Sorry. They played Nevada. And so he comes in, makes an immediate impact. Justin, from either offense or defensive side of the game, what impressed you most during Penn State's week 1 victory?
Deni Dennis Sutton impressed me the most. I mean, he looked insane in that game, and he was just playing with such an edge to him as well. Every play that he made sure the other team knew about it. I really like that energy, the vibe that brings. I think that's going to be big for our team, having a tone setter like that, a really dominant presence off the edge who's going to let you know that he's a dominant presence. I mean, that's huge, and I think that the defense will rally around that persona, and they'll really embody that. So I think that was the most eye-popping thing to me, and I'm super excited to see what he does the rest of the year. And I'm hoping that we have another first round edge coming out of Penn State in the upcoming draft. And I'm hoping he proves it throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, 2.5 tackles for a loss in the opener. And a lot of people, Penn State only had 3 sacks in that victory, but you got to realize Nevada's game plan was to get the ball out quick and not have to deal with those monsters all across Penn State's defensive line. Garrett, what were your major takeaways from Penn State's Week 1 victory?
Yeah, and I don't think there's a lot to take away, but one of the big things to me is just the defense did look very fast. Looked like it was wreaking a lot of havoc. Peanut punching the ball out first drive is pretty awesome. Definitely looked like they were building themselves into the game a little bit, but then looked like they were flying around. We're talking just positives here, so I think scoring on the first 9 possessions is really good. Would like to finish those possessions with touchdowns a little bit more. I'm sure it's always good to have things to probably work on and talk about after a game like this, and I'm sure the coaching staff can find more than enough in the ability to finish drives, and have a little bit more of a flow in the red zone than what we saw this past weekend. So all in all, a really solid week. Obviously the overbetters and the people betting the spread were pretty pissed at the finish of the game, but for the most part, the defense held its own, really nicely. Would just like to see, in that offensive success, finishing the drive. That was something we struggled with a lot last year. Being able to score as many or more points than we were equating with yardage. That was a thing that plagued us last season. I just hope that doesn't continue to be a trend this season. So stuff to build on going into next week.
Yeah, I think against these opponents, when you can win the time of possession, the turnover battle, the yards per pass, yards per attempt. I mean, between Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen, 14 carries, 3 total touchdowns. Penn State also was 6 for 13 on third down. But if you look, they went for fourth down 3 times, so 2 for 3 there. Boy math makes it kind of like 8 for 11 on third down that game. That's the way I equate it. Those were my takeaways. Anytime you can get at it, and I feel like we're beating the drum here. Always the first 3 weeks, we just talk about getting the beak wet, staying healthy, and just putting up points. And obviously, this is great to have a new coordinator, to not have to start a game against Texas. This is why you need some familiarity out there, and just to get out there and play football again. But this week, I hate using the word cupcake, but a winnable game Penn State has to play. They're 41.5 points favorites this weekend. Noon kick at Beaver Stadium. Garrett, sorry I'm taking your segment here, but 68 with a chance of showers. Head coach Willie Simmons. Let's do a brief flyover here of FIU. We'll go to you guys, and then we're going to discuss the rest of the season here. This is only the second meeting between FIU and Penn State. They first played in 2007. Anthony Morelli had 300 yards passing. It was a 59-0 rout. They had 5 rushing touchdowns, which I could see this weekend them emulating that and doing the same as a unit. 3-year starter Keon Jenkins coming off the year with 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. This team throttled Bethune-Cookman last week to open up their season. They play on Friday night, so they do have the rest advantage over Penn State. So that's something to keep an eye out for those 41.5 FIU bettors. They have the day of rest. But they're a team that, listening to Coach Franklin's press conference, they're a team that runs a lot of 11-12 personnel. Franklin pointed to Johnny Chaney, who came over from Colorado. He's a stud linebacker, and cornerback Brian Blades, who's from the Miami area. Some notable guys who went to FIU, T.Y. Hilton, or Ty Hilton, as Fish calls him, Mike Lau, Boston Red Sox legend, and Jonnu Smith. So those are 3 there. That's the flyover. They use 3 running backs, Owens, Lyons, and Carey. So we'll see. And 13 different guys caught passes week 1 for the Panthers. But we'll go back to Justin here. Justin, after watching week 1, what would you like to see Penn State accomplish this weekend that they necessarily didn't in week 1?
Well, I think the one thing that we should call out, we call it a winnable game, but FIU did get a single coaches poll vote this week. So they are the 30-something ranked team, according to coaches, with 1 single vote. So not quite a cupcake. They're probably in the top 40 or 50.
Now, do all FBS coaches get a vote in that? Is it every single one?
I don't want to lie, but
Garrett, do you know this?
I thought it was like 65 or 70 coaches, but I'm not totally sure.
Because I think they're like 129 FIU is, so I would assume it was their coach, or maybe it was a Bethune-Cookman assistant who now coaches at Texas Tech. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All
Sure.
I'm saying is they got a vote.
They
So
did.
according to the coaches, they're somewhere in the 30 to 40 range. But things that I'm looking for coming into this game, I would love to see the passing game continue to evolve and see the way that we get the ball in creative ways to our new playmakers. I think listening to Kotelnicki talk a little bit throughout the offseason, people asked a lot of, well, how do you replace the production that Tyler Warren gave you, and some of the packages he was in where he was taking snaps from behind center, and he just said you don't have to use those same packages or those same plays with different players. You find new ways to get your new players the ball. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that happen and seeing the creative ways that he gets our guys the ball in space. On the defensive side, love to see more of the same, but I think I'm very confident in what the defense is, and I'm pretty confident in what the offense is, but there's way more question marks or players that we haven't seen on the offensive side yet. So that's really what I'm looking forward to and what I want to see.
Garrett, what are you most looking forward to? Because obviously this isn't a game that we're going to tune in and just sweat out a win. So how do you, as a Penn State fan, stay interested in this football game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like you have 6 months of just so much hype. So much of just everybody's returning. It's not super common anymore. Most guys returning. You just want any opportunity you can get and see them play. You want to see how they're evolving, see how much better they possibly are than last year. Again, this team was a minute away from going to a national championship game. So you would assume everybody is getting better. There's all this commitment. You get more addition to the arsenal with transfers coming in. So you want to be able to see them in action, even if it's against a high school team. Like there's nothing that beats live reps. So for me, I think similar to Justin, just looking and seeing how the continuity in the passing game continues to evolve. It's something that last year was just miserable week in, week out. It did not improve. It got to a point and leveled off. It would really be good to see even a step this week, whether that's just linking up on an explosive play or two in the passing game versus some mid-range stuff that's not real necessarily schemed up, but guys making some individual efforts and individual plays would be nice to see. And then lastly, it's cliche, but truly staying healthy as much as possible. And again, we're playing a live team who won last week by 30 points. Like going out and taking care of your business in an efficient manner, not letting a team hang around like we did at Bowling Green last year. Just going out and dominating the football game. I don't think we're ever going to be a team that's winning games 63-7 anymore, just with how we possess the football and kind of the pace we go at things. But something of a comfortable, 48-7. 49-10 type of thing would be a type of game would be nice to see.
Yeah, for those looking to handicap this game, in Penn State's last 16 games against group of 5 teams, the overs hit 12 of those 16 games. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Garrett gave us a score prediction. I say 59-0. Justin, your prediction?
Yeah, I think I was shocked that Franklin didn't cover last week. So I am going to go Franklin covers, and I can see it. We'll go 53-10.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be very close, but we'll see here. But
the line's at 40.5.
I saw as of it was 41.5 as of 5:50.
Okay.
September 4th, the year of our Lord 2025.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I like 53-10. Though. I'm good.
So those are predictions here for those two games. Now we're going to kind of do a season outlook because there's obviously Penn State with Nevada, FIU, play Villanova next week, bye week, home game against Oregon. Penn State has Indiana and Oregon at home this year. They do go to Columbus. They end the year with Rutgers. They have to go to Iowa too. Garrett, pretty favorable schedule here for Penn State.
Yeah, pretty favorable. I saw, I think, a stat today. Penn State Comms tweeted out, or I think Penn State Comms tweeted out, Penn State's won 32 in a row. against non-ranked opponents. It's a tough streak to keep up. The numbers start working against you at a certain point, and so there's a few landmines on the schedule. I mean, the two obvious games are Oregon and Ohio State. It's extremely important that September 27th game goes in the right direction, because I don't think we can go and expect that we're going to be the number one Ohio State team on the road. You don't beat either of those teams. There's not a lot of great wins on the schedule the rest of the way. I think Nebraska will be a tough opponent. I think Indiana will be, tough. I think at Iowa is always tough. No games, if you win, that are going to earn you any points with voters or people on the committee or writers or anything like that. And so, yes, the schedule is favorable, which makes that Oregon game probably one of the more important games, maybe even more important than the Ohio State game on the road. It's a schedule with a few landmines on it where you should win games. And Penn State has done a good job the last several years of winning those games. But Minnesota game last year could have gone a completely different direction. They pulled it out. The USC game could have gone a completely different direction. They pulled it out. How many of those do we have in addition to the two really tough glaring games on the schedule? That's my question. So, going through, FIU's a win, Villanova's a win, UCLA and Northwestern are wins. So there's 5 games right there. I think Rutgers a win, there's 6. Michigan State is a win, there's 7. And so you get down to really your season coming down to Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan State, Nebraska. You get one of the Oregon, Ohio State games, I think we can be happy. I think we should win the rest of the 3, but even if you go 2-1 on the other ones, you're going to be okay because you got that Oregon win on your resume. I think it would be an underwhelming regular season, but we saw Ohio State went 10-2 last year, and the goal here is to win the national championship. So, I would say that we probably, a great season would be 11-1 or better in the regular season. But there's so much expectation, so much focus, on this year specifically, that we really do got to take it week by week. So I picked 11-1 or 10-2 regular season. And then we, see what happens in the postseason.
Yeah. And I think if you look at Penn State's schedule from top to bottom, their buys couldn't come at better times. You have a bye prior to Oregon. You have a bye prior to Ohio State. Justin, as you look over this schedule, outside of the Oregon game and the Ohio State game, what game seems to you to not necessarily be a game that worries you or a trap game, but a game for concern for Penn State that a lot of fans are looking over?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how that UCLA game is going to look right after the whiteout. And you got to go all the way over to the West Coast. Nico Iamaleava is the quarterback there, so it'll be interesting to see.
They're terrible, Justin. I'm sorry. They're horrible. I was worried at first, but I watched them play Utah. They are terrible.
Oh, yeah. Forgot to say this. Fans of the program who follow Harrison Wallace and Amari Evans, you can go to watch Ole Miss games to watch Harry Wallace and Amari Evans now at Washington. Go ahead. My bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Justin. Someone in the comments just asked where they were. We're good.
It's fine. I know. And I know they're not good, but that's the one game that's like, I don't know, could it happen? You go from the highest of highs, whiteout, Beaver Stadium. Like, let's say you win or lose it. You win it. That's that's an amazing emotion. And then you go and you play in front of 5,000 fans on the West Coast. Your body's 3 hours behind schedule. It's probably going to be a weird game. Like, I expect us to win, but I under no circumstances expect us to light up the world in that game.
It's like going to the Jordan Center and playing basketball. Like, is it a scrimmage? There's no one here.
Where is everybody? I played in the last game. There's 107,000. I'm here, and it's like I see my mom and dad. That's it. But I think that game could be weird. Hey, I mean, a lot of the same of what Garrett said, though. Like, you call it a 2-game season, but every game matters, right? And Franklin says it too. He's like, it's a 2-game season. That people say, oh, there's these big games. Lose to FIU and see what happens, right? You have to win the games. So, every game is a must-win game. You can probably, in today's day and age, afford to lose one of the 2 to Ohio State and Oregon, and then maybe one other one. We'd hate to see it, and we don't want to see it. Realistically, I'm predicting 11-1, 12-0. I'm not gonna put the.
What do you mean 11-1 or 12-0? Pick one.
All right, 12-0. I think that this is the year that we go and we beat Ohio State. I can't stand to pick against us in that game. I think we'll handle Oregon. I think we're not at the Oregon game, but I'll give my pre-prediction. I predict like a Michigan 2017 type win against Oregon this year. One where we run away with it, and we run away with it convincingly. And then, yeah, it'll all come down for the regular season, at least that Ohio State game. I see us winning that one too. And for all of what Franklin gets negative said about him, he beats the teams he's supposed to beat. I'll knock on wood, but he has done that consistently, and I expect him to continue to do that. So, yeah, I will go with 12-0. We're going to get the monkey off our back with Ohio State, and we're going to continue to handle business against everybody else.
I'll give my prediction. I'll let Garrett. Every year, I always pick Penn State to beat Ohio State. And this year, for reasons I'm not going to want to say it, but Penn State's going to lose Ohio State and go 11-1 this year. So, Garrett, your turn.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait,
think
8-4? You going to say 9-3?
No, this is an A&M. No, I think I said. I mean, do I have to give a number? I said 10-2 or 11-1. Gosh, I mean, it's I would say I think we beat Oregon. I think we lose to Ohio State, and I think something stupid happens somewhere along the road. And so I think we go to 10-2. I think we don't play in the Big Ten championship game. I do think we make the playoffs. I think we probably have a home game as a 7 or an 8 seed. We go from there. I think our team is good enough to win the national championship. I will say all this. So 10-2, make the playoff. That's my prediction. I say all this with the caveat of this team in the deck of cards of all the different, things that could happen has 2019 LSU somewhere in there. It's there, especially with this wide receiver group. They're not as good as freaking Jordan Jefferson or Justin Jefferson and those guys. But they are, the returning production at quarterback. Remember, Joe Burrow was good, but he wasn't that good leading into that year, right? They lost that long overtime game, 7 overtime game to Ohio State. They were 9-14. He was good, very similar to Drew. Nobody was talking about Joe Burrow the way they talk about him until after that season. And Penn State returns literally almost everybody. So that is a possibility. I will say that with the caveat of my 10-2 prediction. Okay,
10-2, 11-1, 12-0. So we're right there. One of us will be right, I hope. If neither all three of us are wrong, we might need to find a new company and team next year. But boys, I just want to say thanks for joining week 1. Sorry we didn't have a show out last week again. You guys can blame Stat Guy Chris and the production team for that. But it's going to be a fun year. We'll do our daily show. This is coming out today. It's a Friday. We'll do our daily show out at noon every Thursday, as
Weekly
well as
show.
Correct.
I'm not getting paid enough to do daily shows, Mike.
Well, later in the year, as soon as the college football playoff bracket comes out, we will be doing a weekly show as well as a live show to kind of watch along to that. So a lot of stuff planned, a lot of guests to be had on the show this year. But thank you all for listening, and have a great weekend.